Yeah, the core question here is, can science explain everything up to and including consciousness? So this gets into like miriology, which is the study of things in parts. Alex O'Connor is a self-described miriological nihilist. I would fall somewhere near miriological nihilism or constructivism, but all the jargon aside, it just means like to him and to me and maybe to Stash as well, it seems like the boundaries between things, like he gave a great example of there of like the left side of this microphone, like it's clear that the microphone like exists, but to say the left side of the microphone is a mind dependent like abstraction, and you would know what I mean when I say the left side, but that doesn't mean that there's like a metaphysical left side. Like it's just
Right.
how we carve out the world to make use of it.
Right. I mean, it's basically that things exist in insofar as we label them those things,
That's right.
right? But at the ontological level, at the base level, right? And obviously knowing our ontology, that everything is mental and everything is consciousness, there's no real distinction between the things. That is a relative distinction. And see what Sean wants to do is say that um there is nothing relative here. There's just the thing.
Mhm,
And we see the thing as it is.
mhm. Which we could talk forever about that, but, now they're gonna talk about physicalism, what physical means, etcetera. This part is really interesting too.
And I want to ask what is a deceptively difficult question because people say to me sometimes, yeah, I'm a materialist. I believe the universe is just made out of material, or it's just made out of physical stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. What is that? What is physical stuff? Well, what's the sort of operative definition that makes physicalism a definable worldview?
Well, there is absolutely a problem in physicalism, namely that we keep changing our best theories of physics, right? Like you would have given a different answer in 1850 about what is the physical stuff that makes up the world as you would have in 1950, because we had revolutions and relativity and quantum mechanics and things like that. That's why I have sympathy for structural realism that admits there is something out there that is real, but we don't know what it is for the final answer. What we know is that there are certain structural relations embedded in there, even as our ontology continues to improve along the way.
Hmm.
Having said all that, I think that our best current answer to the question is that the world is a vector in Hilbert space.
I just figured you would like that part, dude.
Yeah,
You get
that's awesome. Yeah. Hey, at least he admits it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And look, like I obviously like to me, I always say this, and I know maybe you disagree here or not, but none of this like they're not ontologically changing the kind of category they're talking about when you have these
Right.
revolutions.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
goes from atoms and little building blocks that are in space and time to, you know, a quantum field, but they're still all quantitative in nature, which is
Mhm.
what keeps them physical. And so I can give him a pass for all of this. He says it's a problem in physicalism. It's not a
Mhm.
problem in physicalism. It's just that you tied your ontology to science, and science just makes models. So of course it changes all the time.
Yeah, the interesting bit to me is to say that the world literally is a vector in Hilbert space is clearly mistaking the map for the territory. I don't know how to like explain this any more simply other than look, we have these experiences, we make measurements of those experiences, we do observations, we do science, then we take those observations and those measurements and then we make mathematical theories from those that are all based in experience again, and then eventually those mathematical theories end up describing a really abstract thing like a vector in Hilbert space, like a wave function. um that's the map that we've been drawing of our own experience. And to say that that map is what the universe is just so obviously a category error to me. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, my wife wasn't going to marry me because of the way I looked, but then when I explained to her that I'm a vector in Hilbert space, she accepted, and I'm glad it all worked out.
It kind of makes you sound like a hot shot, dude. I'm a vector in Hilbert space. You know?
Yeah,
Um
yeah. No, but this
Excuse
is
me.
honest. Like, this is what our ontology is. This is what the reality is made out of, is a vector in Hilbert space. That's
It's a,
physicalism. That's physicalism.
it's an abstract mathematical
I mean, it's
entity.
not nothing out there that we see, that none of that exists. That all exists in my brain, right?
hmm
And what's
hmm
out there is vector and Hilbert space, which you can't imagine that as like in space and time, or like in some kind of sensual. There's no sensual quality to it at all. That's what actually exists. This is what physicalism says, and people don't recognize that. Like, they're the ones saying that all of the stuff we see, the room around me, is actually in between my
hmm
skull plates.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like solipsism.
Mm.
And to what degree do you think that not just this view, but any scientific view, and I'm sort of throwing the Philip Goff line at you here, can really inform us about what stuff is rather than just what it does? I mean, we talked about science as being descriptive, as sort of coming up with laws that describe things that we observe. But if you're looking for what the stuff actually is, which when you say you've got a metaphysical position, I'm a physicalist, I believe the universe is made out of a particular kind of stuff. If the stuff that you describe is mostly described in terms of like something that occurs or a mathematical sort of formula or something, you're still left with this ontological gap of what the stuff is. Do you think that science can tell us what stuff is, or can it only ever really tell us what it does, to the extent that we'll never quite be able to like grasp the isness of whatever's down there at the foundation?
I don't think there's anything to be grasped. I don't think there's any answer to the question, what is it, aside from how does it behave and how does it interact with other things?
Yeah. So I like to call this.
That's
Mhm.
why you said at the beginning, science tells us what it is,
Yeah.
because of that belief. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to call this the physicalism's problem of isness, right? So science can only ever tell us what stuff does. It doesn't ever tell us what stuff is. It tells us relations. It doesn't tell us what is relating.